Let me describe a feeling. You're not broke. You know you're not broke. But you're also not okay. And the strangest part? Nobody seems to notice. Not the government, not the media, not the financial system, not even the people around you. Because from the outside, you look fine. This is the loneliest income bracket. Not the lowest, not the highest. The one in between, where the struggle is real but invisible, where the pressure is constant but unacknowledged, where you earn just enough to disappear from everyone's concern. Let's decode why this happens, because it's not accidental. Every system, political, financial, cultural, is built around visible extremes. Poverty is visible. It generates policy, support structures, charitable attention, cultural empathy. Wealth is visible. It generates aspiration content, investment strategies, lifestyle media, entire industries built around growing and managing it. But the lower middle class, earning $40,000, $55,000, $65,000, $70,000, enough to look stable, not enough to feel it, exists in a gap neither extreme was designed to serve. Here's what that gap actually looks like. You earn too much for subsidized housing, but housing still consumes a proportion of your income that leaves almost no room. You earn too much for food assistance, but the grocery bill still requires calculation, not choice. You earn too much for Medicaid, but healthcare still represents a genuine financial vulnerability. You earn too much for most assistance programs, but you're one unexpected expense away from a month that doesn't balance. That's not comfort. That's a tightrope with no net. And the system looks at your income number and calls it fine. Now here's the layer most people miss. It's not just the financial pressure that makes this bracket lonely. It's the cultural erasure. Turn on financial media. It's built for two audiences. People trying to escape poverty, budgeting basics, debt payoff, emergency funds. People trying to grow wealth, portfolio optimization, tax strategy, real estate investing. The lower middle class watches both and belongs fully to neither. Too stable for the survival content, too stretched for the wealth-building content, floating somewhere in between, unseen, unaddressed. And the political erasure compounds it. Politicians reference the middle class constantly, but the middle class they reference, stable homeowners, comfortable retirement savers, discretionary spenders, bears little resemblance to the actual experience of the lower middle bracket. The reference is aspirational. The reality is pressure. And because the language of comfortable middle class gets applied to an experience that isn't comfortable, the people living it assume the problem is personal, their fault, their failure, when it's actually structural. A gap between two systems that nobody built a bridge for. Let me show you the specific psychological cost of this invisibility, because this isn't just financial. When your struggle has no cultural language, when nobody is making content for your exact situation, when policy doesn't target you and aspiration doesn't reach you, you internalize the gap as personal failure. You think, everyone else at this income level seems to be managing. Why am I the only one finding this hard? You're not. You're just surrounded by people performing the same stability you're performing. The lower middle class is an entire bracket of people quietly struggling in front of each other, convinced they're uniquely failing. That collective silence is the loneliness. And here's the deeper decode. The invisibility isn't an oversight. A visible, struggling middle class is a political and economic problem. An invisible one is manageable. So the narrative stays aspirational, the content stays polarized, the gap stays unaddressed, and the people inside it keep assuming the problem is theirs. It isn't. The bracket is real, the pressure is real, the invisibility is real, and naming it clearly, precisely, without softening it, is the first move toward navigating it honestly. You're not uniquely failing. You're accurately perceiving a gap that was never designed to be comfortable. See it clearly, then build from there.